Hey everyone, I hope you guys are enjoying Monster Hunter in whichever format you're choosing to play it as. And it is official, Monster Hunter now has become a relatively massive hit for Capcom and Niantic. Recently, their official social media pages decided to confirm that there has been an official 5 million downloads reach worldwide just in the very first week post-launch, and they are very excited to have reached that milestone. Soon thereafter, articles began to come out basically confirming that Niantic started to kind of like propagate the information that this is now their third biggest game, with north of $14 million made within the first month's revenue. Now, you wouldn't necessarily think of Monster Hunter now as being a high profitable game just because it just came out, but it seems to be like people are not only willing to play it, but they're also willing to spend a lot of money on it, to the point that Niantic is already seemingly ramping up production for more content to drop. If you have been watching my videos, you already know that there's been a lot of leaks happening within the past few weeks, and things are going to start picking up based on the fact that Niantic is seeing some actual return on investment for this game. There's been a lot of talk regarding the game being a little bit of a Pokemon Go clone-ish type game, but at the end of the day, for the Monster Hunter audience, what they are interested in is more content, and it seems like Niantic, at the very least right now, is trying to deliver. And to provide more context, I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for an article from pocketgamer.biz. They did a pretty good job kind of like recapping all the information that's kind of been happening regarding the Monster Hunter Now record-breaking sales movements, and their article called Monster Hunter Now sets to be Niantic's third biggest game with 14 million in its first month of revenue. They mentioned that Niantic launched and the latest title, Monster Hunter Now, on September 14th, and it's already proven to be a massive success with 5 million downloads in its first week alone. According to research, the advisory firm Navic, making Niantic's fourth biggest launch to date and its fourth highest grossing game with approximately 14 million during that period. It is poised to overtake Pikmin Bloom's 20 million's lifetime revenue to become the third highest grossing game. I didn't actually know Niantic was working on Pikmin Bloom, but it doesn't surprise me that Pikmin Bloom in general wouldn't make all that much money because it's just Pikmin. Yes, it's a niche franchise, but at the end of the day, I never really saw a lot of people talk about that game, and even in the Nintendo community, so it really doesn't surprise me that Monster Hunter Now is already surpassing or ready to surpass that game. The game has proven to be particularly successful on the iOS market, with around 12 million in revenue, in contrast to Google Play, that has seen the game generate around 2 million according to Sensor Tower data. That's a massive kind of flip there. You would expect it to be more maybe 50-50, 60-40, but to imagine that the Google Play Store really just doesn't have much going on, and instead the iOS store is kind of like pulling all the weight. It just kind of tells you exactly where that audience is coming from. The Monster Hunter franchise has seen more than 85 million sales across 18 titles, making it developers Capcom's second highest selling franchise, behind, of course, Resident Evil. The company has spent 4 years developing Monster Hunter Now with Niantic, and it appears that work has been fruitful. Notably, despite the massive success of Pokemon Go, Niantic has seen a fair share of failures in recent years, including the shuttering of Harry Potter Wizards Unite and NBA Old World, and the cancellation of AR titles like Marvel World of Heroes, and the layoffs of 25% of its workforce. And regarding the layoffs in general, I think a lot of publishers, I think we just recently saw maybe Naughty Dog as well mention that they had to let go of a lot of staff, and even the online multiplayer The Last of Us game had been either put on hold or delayed or something along those lines. I think I saw that online. I don't know how accurate that is, but at the end of the day, it seems to be like there's a lot of layoffs happening in the gaming industry right now. And just to see some companies kind of like continually grow, make money, but still have to fire people, it certainly doesn't put a very good taste in your mouth if you consider it, just how much money these companies are starting to profit in the millions, and then some even in the billions. In short, Niantic has struggled to replicate the success of Pokemon Go, with Navic noting that the game's core gameplay loop of the franchise is precisely delivered in Pokemon Go's location-based format. The importance of this fit is often overlooked in location-based game design, as seen in Niantic attempts to force fit the Harry Potter and NBA core fantasies into this format. One of the things that I will say is that I've seen a lot of people kind of talk about how they don't necessarily want to jump into Monster Hunter now, not necessarily because there's a mobile game, not because of the gacha, not because of the RNG, not any of the actual game's real criticisms that I've seen a lot of people start to levy. I've seen some relatively scathing videos come out regarding Monster Hunter now as of recently, which I happen to agree with, by the way. I've seen a lot of criticism levied to the game accurately, and I myself have had some criticisms towards the game myself, and even Niantic to that matter. But one of the things that I've seen, more interestingly enough, and I might talk about this in a separate video, is the fact that Niantic is kind of like going after players, specifically banning them, or I believe locking them out from being able to use ghosting type apps that basically make it seem like you're in a different place than where you actually are. And this being one of those games, again, like Pokemon Go, where it kind of forces you to walk around, and not everyone really wants to do that. It is kind of like something that a lot of people are taking into consideration when not even willing to jump into playing this game, because of that same idea that they are just not willing to take a walk or a hike or whatever. They're busy, they have kids, they have work, whatever the case is. And the game is basically preventing you from being able to spoof your location into the game. And, it's just not making it very feasible for players to be able to kind of get the things that they need with all the RNG included. Lastly, the article mentions that a Monster Hunter hit, while the company has somewhat struggled to bring several franchises into the realm of AR, Monster Hunter appears a natural fit thanks to its relatively similarities to Pokemon franchise itself. Both focus on hunting monsters and diverse ecosystems, and at the present, around 70% of Monster Hunter Now's revenue comes from Japan. It appears that the game was designed with Japanese market in mind, with the avatar selection featuring characters with Asian features in an attempt to court Japanese users. The company also ran an in-game event in Tokyo Game Show on September 24th, resulting in a revenue spike of over $1 million. The game also features light RPG progression systems, helping to cater the Japanese market, while Navic notes that Niantic could have learned handed into the JRPG mechanics by adding a little bit more complexity into the progression systems, especially if Japan is always going to be the target main demographic in this game. The lighter RPG elements work for a global base. That's really interesting that 70% of the profits of the, what was it, 14 million that they mentioned, potentially 20 that could end up being, 70% of that is coming out of Japan. That is a staggering amount of money coming out of Japan. But we already know this. We've noted this before. Asian markets is not Japanese exclusive target demographic. This is an Asian market. Korean, Chinese, etc. They are big into mobile gaming. They support it, they enjoy it. The free-to-play motion of it is something that they're happy with, and willing to throw in a couple of bucks into a game is not something that they're necessarily allergic to, which is a lot of people here in the West, specifically in Europe, here in North America as well, don't seem to want to do. I myself has explained this in multiple videos. I don't particularly like RNG based games. I don't particularly like gacha mechanics, and while I've allowed myself to play a couple of mobile games, Monster Hunter Now included, I've not necessarily been one to stick around for a long stretch of time, only because of those tedious mechanics. At the end of the day, this is something that I've also talked about, where people have levied criticisms towards Monster Hunter Now regarding the RNG mechanics. I might end up doing another video and specifically talking about all of the criticisms, now that I really think about it, because there's a lot of things to be really critical of the game. Again, I do understand that it's successful. I understand that a lot of people like it, but there are some fair criticisms being levied to the game, regardless of how record-breaking successful it might be towards Niantic's deep pockets or even Capcom's deep pockets. That's all well and good. I hope that also translates to them supporting the game going forward. We certainly hope to see many more monsters and all of the weapons, and maybe even more, make their way into the game, if it certainly can signal more content making its way to eventually the next mainline Monster Hunter game. And I would even be willing to welcome some sort of cross play, cross connection, cross anything, experience from the mobile game to the mainline game. The next entry, of course, we're talking about here. But at the end of the day, for me personally, I kind of feel tapped out from playing Monster Hunter now for just the dozen or so hours that I played it, and it's gonna have to end up getting way more content right now in order for me to be able to delve in once again. But like I've talked about before in my leaks videos, there's a lot of things happening in the game, and they're gonna be happening relatively soon. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.